Welcome to the Workbench. I'm Doug. Today we're going to talk about a little preventive maintenance that you should be doing on your multi-needle machines in between your yearly service to your retailer. Sometimes a lot of you are using these commercially for businesses, which creates a little bit more dust than those using it periodically. So we want to start from the top and work our way down. It's important that we snap our threads into this pre-tension guide. But it's also important that we take our little included brush to clean underneath, to wipe, make sure that there's no debris, no extra threads laying around. And then your tension assembly sometimes could become a little dry and sticky. So to kind of inspect these, you want to remove the knob, which you can place on your embroidery arm. And then you have a little clicker that gives you that little clicking sensation, a tension spring, and the base, which could be lifted up all at one time and also placed on your embroidery arm. Then you're going to see that you have a felt and this disc that rotates. So while sewing, the reason you wrap it is to rotate this disc. And if this disc isn't spinning freely, then you may get premature warnings that your thread is broken when it's not. So lift this up in a way to inspect that there's no thread or lint buildup. Then you have another piece of felt, which sometimes you can see even on this guy. We have a little lint and fuzz coming away from it. So that could restrict that disc from rotating. So let's go ahead, we'll remove that all away so that you can wipe and clean. You could also, if they get too deteriorated, purchase replacement ones from your retailer. And then this shaft is important to be clean and smooth. If this gets a carbon buildup, then it's going to make it more difficult for that disc to rotate. So what I like to do is take the oil that's included with your machine, place a drop or two of oil onto maybe a piece of stabilizer. Because oiling is a good cleaning agent for your machine parts. And then with that, you can take out a wipe and clean that shaft thoroughly. You may even see some dirt and debris that comes from that, because you're wanting a very nice slick finish for that disc to spin around on. Once you have that clean, insert your piece of felt and then your disc. But it's very important for you to understand that there's a wrong and a right side. The bottom side should be the side with the black magnet. And while sewing, this is spinning and that magnet is reacting to a sensor underneath. Thread breaks, it stops rotating, sends a signal to stop your machine. So that will always go onto the bottom. Then reposition your felt, your base and your spring, and then your knob. So for perfect balance, we'd like to set these with 3 gray lines showing above the white base. See what I mean? 3 gray lines. Okay, then we have another thread guide underneath here. Sometimes it's just as good to use that same felt on this one to wipe and to clean, or the included brush to make sure nothing's restricting that pressure on that thread. Okay, then we'll want to remove the needle plate area to clean underneath this. Now to remove the needle plate area and clean, use your provided screwdriver, which is L-shaped, to make it easy to get your screws loosened. And while I'm there, I loosen my second screw. Now once you get them loose, a lot of times you can just spin them away with your fingers. Once you get the screws removed, pull down your bobbin case cover and lift up on your needle plate and the little white spacer that may come away as well. Ho ho ho! There's a little bit of lint and fuzz there for you. Now you can see this one here has had a little bit of use to it since we've removed the needle plate. But notice on the right hand side there's a lot of little thread clippings. Well, that's from your thread cutter. So after your thread is cut, it's actually held in place so that when it goes to the next needle position, it's easily picked up to begin your sewing. But sometimes too much of this thread clipping will eliminate the holding of your thread. Then you could start your next color or your next needle position and maybe get an error code that the thread is broke because it didn't grab your bobbin. So it's important to remove these little threads away from the machine as well as any leftover lint and debris. So I know people have talked before maybe and mentioned to you, be careful with using canned air. However, canned air is very handy to use if you understand to use it properly. If you hold the can upright and pull the trigger, you get a nice airflow. But if you were to lean this and spray, do you see that Freon? We don't want that into our machines. Nor do we want you to shake the can up and down while going wise. Okay, but just holding it with straight upright with the flex hose, you can blow and remove any of the debris. You may even notice a few clippings that are left behind here that you can then maybe use your tweezers to clean out. It's important to remove that so it properly holds your thread after the cutting process. Maybe another shot once you do that. But doesn't that look better? I'm sure it's going to give you a better start at the beginning of your embroidery because of that. Because it's going to be holding your thread a little better. Then once you get it cleaned out, reinstall your spacer. On the left hand side, there's a little pocket that it has to fit into place. On the right side, there's a screw that holds it in position. And then set your needle plate back in and reattach your two screws. And again, I just like to start these with my finger. Once you get them going, you can just spin them a little bit as far as you can go. And position your second screw into place. And then to tighten them securely, use your screwdriver. Being careful not to hit your needles or needle bars. So hopefully this gives you a better understanding on some preventive maintenance that can be done in between your cleanings. So now that you know, get out and sew.